Guys, I got to start off by asking a question. Bobby, I'm going to start with you. In the history of the game, this is a team sport. Have you ever seen one baseball player like Shohei Ohtani did last night run the entire game, have an influence, offense, defense, and on the mound? Pretty much it was the Shohei show last night.
Yeah, I've only seen one other, and that was Jimmy Sabia, in the Little League County Championship in Stamford, Connecticut. Yeah, he pitched. He hit a 3-run homer. He stole bases, and he shut out the Stamford team. But other than that, there's only one Shohei.
I mean, amazing what he did. I mean, when you could look up at the scoreboard, it's 2-1. It was basically what Shohei Ohtani did on the mound, fielding a position, throwing the baseball, the RBI double in the first, walked and scored the second and only other run of the game. So he did absolutely everything in his power to beat a team that has gone to the postseason for the first time in 21 years. That's how good Shohei Ohtani was last night and the entire season.
Yeah, and what he's been doing too, Gooby, I heard you mention it several times in the broadcast, though, it's not just this Seattle team, it's Houston 2 times, and Cleveland, and these teams that are going to the postseason or trying to get into the postseason. This is the Angels' postseason and Shohei's postseason right now.
And he's been locked up against the very best pitchers. When you think about it, 10 games this year, the Angels' offense has scored him 2 runs or less. That's 10 of his starts, 25 starts. So he's had to go out there and pitch at the highest level. You mentioned those last 4 starts: Toronto, Houston, and now Seattle. An ERA during that stretch, 0.67. These are 3 teams that are going to the postseason, yet he dominated. You'll say, well, Julio Rodriguez was not in the lineup yesterday. He was 0 for 6 in his career versus Shohei Ohtani. So there wasn't a guarantee he was going to go up there and match the baseball. He could have, but he wasn't in there. But Shohei Ohtani still did an incredible job last night.
Bobby, 7 shutout innings. As we take a look at what he did last night, very deliberate throughout the course of this game. You mentioned the blister. He'd it up, he'd slow it down. But for the most part, he had these hitters off balance all night.
Yeah, and the right-handed hitters had a steady dose of his slider and a sweeper. He has 2 different sliders now that he's throwing. One that has a little more vertical break, and one has a very large horizontal break. He stayed away from the 2-seamer. Mark, I guess that's because he had to get to that other seam, and that was what was causing the blister. He kind of blew it cold earlier in the game. He made sure it never heated up, and gave 7 spectacular innings.
Still, when you think about it, in the first inning yesterday, he threw one of those sinkers at 101 miles an hour, and then that double he hits off the wall was 106.7 miles per hour. I mean, what human being does that? You throw a pitch 101 miles an hour, and the bottom of that same inning, you hit a double off the wall, almost 107 miles per hour exit velocity. I mean, it's amazing what he is doing, and he's doing it effortlessly. That's the thing. It seems so inhuman. That's why he's the unicorn. That's why we call him the unicorn. But he is so competitive. You knew he was a little bit slower on the mound yesterday. There was a couple reasons. He knew he was getting locked up against George Kirby, who threw the ball exceptionally well for Seattle. He wasn't going to get a lot of run support, so every pitch he threw had a purpose behind it. He didn't want to make a mistake, and he didn't make any.
What was fun about Shohei the Alicorn? He's starting to take off now because, yeah, we know it can do at the plate.
Is there an
and
emoji
on the mound.
for that, by the way?
I'm going to come up with one. If not, I'll have my daughter draw a picture of an alicorn for you. But we know he's an athlete, guys, but I don't think we've ever given him enough appreciation for what it can do with his glove. I think we'd all love to see him at some point play right field or first base, but he can field his position very, very well, and he showed that last night.
Let's get this right, Frenchie. Center field or shortstop. Without a doubt, he could be as good a center fielder as there is in baseball. He has speed. He understands the game of baseball, and, of course, the great arm. But here he is in the middle of the diamond, snagging one, moving his feet, getting his body out of the way, and making sure that he could get the bounce of the ball. And then as this line drive is past him, he reaches out and flags it down. That's an athletic event. His glove wasn't just there, as it is sometimes with a pitcher. Never you, Mark. Of course, you always snagged him. But, of course, this was a ball. He saw it coming. And he said, I'm going to get that ball. And he knew where it was going to be when it was past him.
And the thing is, it made it special about that. He was looking around, where's defense? Most pitchers, you're supposed to do this. You look back and see where your middle infielder's set up. If you have to go to your glove side or the backhand, depending on where the infield, with the shifts on, depending where they're going to be, he knew exactly he had to make those plays. Otherwise, they're going to be base hits up the middle. I love this reaction when he caught the line drive by Carlos Santana. He almost apologized for catching it. But one thing also, he showed his A move, was a pickoff move yesterday.
I was gonna ask you
His
about that,
footwork and his arm action on that was amazing. Usually he just throws that little slow throw over there. He's quick enough to the plate where he negates the running game anyhow, but he showed a different part of his game because I watched him recently in the outfield when he throws against the wall. He does his, the weighted baseball routine he does. He was working on his footwork and a quick throw. It was amazing because he's given up just a couple stolen bases. He doesn't want to give up any, and the work ethic he has is incredible.
I could add quickly.
Oh, please.
Japanese pitchers play the game literally. They always step directly to the base when they throw it to it. That's why his pickoff move always looked so awkward. He would deliberately step to the base. Finally, he says, hey, I'm getting into this American game. I'm going to see if I could cheat a little and pick someone off by deceiving them with a quick move.
Are you saying deceiving? You're trying to say pitchers deceive the base runners?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Never. Well, I'll tell you what Shohei Ohtani's do. He's deceiving hitters better than he did last year as we continue this incredible, fun conversation about Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge for the AL MVP race. Look what he has done, Gooby, as far as out-Shoheiing himself, because basically he's competing against him of what he did last year.
I thought he was dominant on the mound, especially from the second half forward in 2021. But this season, from the very first start to where we're at right now, his ERA has been great. When you look at last season, walks to strikeout ratio, he was about 3.5 strikeouts per walk last year. This season, about 5.5 strikeouts per walk during a 9-inning stretch. So he's throwing more strikes. He's using all his pitches, but he's dominating. When you have an ERA 2.43, when you're swinging the bat 6 other days of the week, that's the thing. It's really amazing. You would think, okay, your legs, your arm, or something is going to be tired, but it hasn't been the case because he's able to go to certain pitches during the game and get big outs.
Yeah, both of us sat here, all three of us sat here yesterday and talked about how the race between Shohei and Judge is going to go down to the very end, and Shohei's got to do something very special, and he was the Alucron. I've used it 3 times now. He grew wings last night. Judge just hit his 57th home run today, just to start. He's not done yet. This is going to, this continues to be a fun conversation.
Yeah, but, it is different than last year. Last year he was up against a young Latin player who wasn't well known playing in Canada. This year he's up against a New York Yankee who's going to break all-time records of New York Yankees. This is a heavy lift for Shohei.
Yeah, when you look at the WAR now coming into the game today with that home run today for Judge 58, 9.2. Shohei is at 8.7 now. He closed that. We went from 9.2 to 8.2, so it's getting closer as far as the WAR. And it's not the tell sign as far as voting for MVP, but it's getting closer. And you're right, Bobby and Frenchie. It's going to go to that last game, and he's probably going to be on the mound the way it's scheduled, the last game of the year in Oakland. And we've seen some special moments in Angels history. Mike Witt threw a perfect game on the last game of the season.
And he needs
to win that one.
And he needs that last game to qualify. He needs 162 innings. He needs 15 more going forward. That's 5 a game for the next 3 games. He'll need that last one to get over the 162, which he wants to do.